Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your go-to place for everything Liverpool. Today, we dive into Arne Slot's big revelations. From Hugo Ekitike's red card and apology, to the Federico Chiesa decision, Alexander Isak transfer plans, and the latest injury and suspension news ahead of the Crystal Palace clash. Stay tuned for all the breaking updates. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Arne Slot explains how Liverpool disciplined Hugo Ekitike and confirms Federico Chiesa decision. Arne Slot on Hugo Ekitike, Federico Chiesa, and Rio Nguma in his Friday press conference ahead of Saturday's trip to Crystal Palace. Arne Slot confirmed Hugo Ekitike was not fined for his mistake against Southampton, as the Liverpool boss aimed to put the issue over the striker's Carabao Cup red card to bed. The France international was dismissed by referee Thomas Bramall for removing his shirt in celebration, when already on a yellow card after scoring a late winner in the 2-1 victory against the Saints on Tuesday night. Slot branded the incident needless and stupid immediately after the game at Anfield, but said the 23-year-old has not been sanctioned for his mistake as the Premier League leaders prepare to face Crystal Palace without him on Saturday afternoon. Discipline means I spoke to him, but if discipline means a fine, we didn't do that, Slot confirmed. It wasn't smart what he did. He recognized that straight away and said sorry to his teammates. Players of all ages do make mistakes, and you are allowed at this club to make a mistake without immediately getting fines. He is a fantastic human being. If you speak to all staff members and ask them their warmest human beings, he would be in the top 3. He wasn't smart. Didn't hurt us on Tuesday. Tomorrow, the positive is Federico Chiesa can return. Chiesa, who turned in an excellent display that included 2 assists against the championship side this week, will return to the Premier League squad in Ekitike's absence, and the Italian forward will also be added to the Champions League contingent following confirmation of a long-term knee injury to teenage defender Giovanni Leoni. Slot added, "We have looked into naming Chiesa in the Champions League squad. I cannot tell you exactly where that process is. That is not something I do myself. If I am informed correctly, if a player has a longer than 2-month injury, you are allowed to replace him." Slot also reflected on Rio Nguma's situation after the 17-year-old signed his first professional contract on Thursday, weeks after becoming the youngest goal scorer in the club's history at 16 years and 361 days. "The good thing is if you are a youngster playing at Liverpool, there are players playing with you who are still better than you are," Slot said. "That helps to stay grounded because of who he is as a person. But if you play with wingers like Cody Gakpo and Mo Salah and Federico Chiesa, he feels there is still a step to take. If he is at their level, it is about being consistently really good. It is why the top players stand out." Arne Slot reveals Alexander Isak Liverpool plan after Hugo Ekitike red card. Arne Slot has seemingly suggested that he intends to start Alexander Isak for Liverpool's trip to Crystal Palace. Arne Slot has strongly hinted that Alexander Isak will be handed his first Premier League start for Liverpool away at Crystal Palace on Saturday. The Swede scored his first goal for the club in Tuesday night's 2-1 victory over Southampton in the League Cup. However, he was then substituted at halftime as the Reds continued to manage his minutes carefully following his deadline day British record £125 million move from Newcastle United. The striker endured a disjointed preseason at St James Park, essentially going on strike in a bid to force an exit as he trained alone and didn't feature in any preseason matches. Isak is playing catch-up at Anfield as a result, with starts against Atletico Madrid and Southampton sandwiching a substitute appearance in last weekend's Merseyside derby. Hugo Ekitike has started all 5 of Liverpool's Premier League matches so far this season, but will be suspended for the trip to Crystal Palace after being sent off for a second bookable offence against Southampton, having celebrated by removing his shirt. Consequently, Slot will have to look elsewhere against the Eagles, with the likes of Isak and Federico Chiesa, who recorded 2 assists in a man-of-the-match performance against Southampton, as his main senior options. Slot has confirmed that Isak is fit enough to start against Palace after being withdrawn at halftime against the Saints, but admits that if the Swede is given the nod, he will not be able to complete a full 90 minutes.
Yeah, he's able to make minutes again,
the Reds head coach said at his pre-match press conference.
I still feel 90. It depends also on the pace, and the intensity of the game might be a bit too much.
But not only that, also for the long term. So you can maybe give one, I would call, stupid hit to bring him to 90, and then you brought him too far over the line.
So, I don't think it's smart to play him 90 yet. But he's further into his preseason now, and normally after 2 or 3 weeks in preseason players go to 60, 70 minutes.
And in some clubs, they even bring them to 90. But if you look at our preseason, we mainly bring them to 60 to 70 minutes then.
The positive thing is that Federico Chiesa is showing himself at the moment, so it's also a chance for him now to be on the bench and maybe get playing minutes with Hugo not being there.
Arne Slot press conference devastating Giovanni Leoni injury, Hugo Ekitike apology. Live coverage of Arne Slot's Liverpool press conference previewing the Premier League clash against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on Saturday. Welcome to our live coverage of Arne Slot's Liverpool press conference to preview his side's Premier League showdown with Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on Saturday. The Reds boss will be with us from 9:45 a.m. Slot is expected to give an official update on the condition of young defender Giovanni Leoni, who is set for an extended spell on the sidelines after suffering a serious knee injury on his Liverpool debut on Tuesday night against Southampton. That, aligned with the needless sending off of striker Hugo Ekitike, took the shine of a 2-1 triumph at Anfield that maintained the Reds' perfect start to the season. With Leoni poised to miss months and not weeks of action, it raises the question over whether Liverpool will look to revive their bid for Palace captain Marc Guéhi, who saw his move to Merseyside collapse on transfer deadline day. Guéhi's situation adds an intriguing subplot to what will be the second of 3 meetings between the clubs inside the first 3 months of the season after they faced off in the Community Shield, and given they have just been drawn against each other in the Carabao Cup. Slot is likely to be quizzed on Guéhi, and whether the big money addition they did get through the door on deadline day Alexander Isak is fit enough to start in place of the suspended Ekitike after he opened his account for the club in midweek. Paul Gorst is at the AXA Training Center to bring you all the updates from the press conference. Arne Slot gives devastating Giovanni Leoni injury update as Liverpool timeline set. Arne Slot has confirmed Liverpool defender Giovanni Leoni has suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury, which will keep him out for a year in a crushing blow to the teenager. Leoni, 18, suffered the injury on his debut for the club in Tuesday's 2-1 Carabao Cup third-round win over Southampton. The Italian centre-back played 81 minutes of the tie before being forced off. He underwent tests on his knee this week, which revealed the ACL injury. Slot said on Friday,
"He is not in a good place because he tore his ACL, which means he will be out around a year."
Ibrahima Konaté gave telling verdict on Dayot Upamecano comparison amid Liverpool links. Liverpool has been linked with a surprise move for Bayern Munich centre-back Dayot Upamecano, and his French international teammate Ibrahima Konaté already endorsed the defender. Liverpool has a squad that is ready to win now, as evidenced by 7 wins out of 7 to start the campaign. On paper, it is also set up to succeed well into the future, kick-starting a dynasty under Arne Slot, but that relies on keeping the existing group together, a goal that Ibrahima Konaté is threatening to thwart. After a busy summer, Liverpool is in an enviable position from a squad planning perspective.
Fears over replacing Mohamed Salah's output have been eased by the arrival of three of the game's very best attacking talents, the oldest of whom just turned 26. The 2023 midfield overhaul looks better with each passing week. Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis Mac Allister, and Dominic Szoboszlai can all be important pillars for the next half-decade or longer. But in defense, Konaté's expiring contract throws a post-Virgil van Dijk future into significant doubt. While Konaté was never necessarily going to be Van Dijk's direct successor, he was meant to graduate to senior partner in the back line, acting as the pillar of continuity next to a new signing or a promoted youngster. That may yet happen, with nothing decided on the contract front, but the clock is ticking. Should the Reds be forced into the market, Marc Guéhi remains a favored contender. His contract is also running out, so Liverpool may end up losing a player for nothing and signing a replacement for nothing as well. But there will be plenty of rivals for Guéhi's signature after a deadline day move to Anfield collapsed. So it would be foolish not to consider alternatives. Moreover, if Liverpool needs to replace Konaté, it may wish to sign two new centre-backs. If Guéhi were to arrive as the Van Dijk successor, then Slot would still need someone to step up in place of the Frenchman. That player might have been Giovanni Leoni. But while he can absolutely still have a brilliant long-term future at Anfield, he won't be stepping up anytime soon, with a cruel injury blow sidelining him for the best part of a year. This could be where Upamecano enters the picture. A previous comparison from Konaté sums up where the Bayern Munich star might fit in at Anfield. 2 years ago, Konaté was asked on international duty whether Upamecano was at the same level as Van Dijk. He gave an emphatic response.
"What kind of question is that?"
Konaté scoffed via TNT Sports.
"You can't compare the two."
"With Upamecano, we are in the same category even if he is a very high competitor. But Van Dijk, I put him on a different planet."
"We're still a long way from achieving what he did. Although we will get there one day, I have no doubt."
2 years on, neither Konaté nor Upamecano can claim to have reached Van Dijk's levels just yet. But that's in. Liverpool injury and suspension latest. Red Stars ruled out of Crystal Palace clash. Liverpool will be looking to continue their 100% start to the Premier League season when they face Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on Saturday afternoon. Liverpool return to Premier League action as they gear up to take on Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. The Reds have been in scintillating form, having won all 5 of their opening top-flight matches so far. Their midweek triumph over Southampton ensured Liverpool maintained their flawless record in all competitions, with 7 victories from 7 since the campaign kicked off. This impressive run has propelled them to a 5-point lead over Arsenal at the summit of the Premier League table, kick-started their Champions League season with a win, and secured their spot in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. Arne Slot's squad will journey to south-west London on Saturday to face a Palace side that bested them in the Community Shield at Wembley Stadium back in August. Liverpool will be aiming to secure a win and extend their lead over the Gunners to 8 points before their title rivals square off against Newcastle on Sunday. However, Liverpool will have to contend with the clash against Palace without some key players. Here, Mirror Sport delves into the latest injury and suspension news ahead of the Premier League between Liverpool and Crystal Palace. Injury: Giovanni Leoni. Giovanni Leoni could be on the sidelines for around a year after suffering an anterior cruciate ligament injury during the victory over Southampton. Leoni was making his debut against the Saints, but now faces a lengthy recovery period.
"He is not in a good place because he tore his ACL, which means he will be out around a year,"
Slot told reporters on Friday.
"Being so young and coming to a new country and playing so well in your first game, it's very hard to take the positives,"
the Liverpool head coach added.
"There is never a positive side, but you try to look at that, and that is that he is still so young and he has so many years still to go after he recovers from a terrible injury."
Suspension: Hugo Ekitike.
Hugo Ekitike will be absent for Liverpool's clash against Palace due to suspension. The striker was shown 2 yellow cards against Southampton, resulting in a dismissal, and will now serve a 1-match ban which sees him miss the trip to Selhurst Park.